Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're going to take our worldview from Colonel Kris Thompson, retired from the U.S. Army. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity and every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Colonel Kris Thompson, U.S. Army retired. Pleasure to have you back here, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And we're taping this on June 9th, the morning of. So the last 3 days we've seen the demonstrations in Los Angeles. We've seen the National Guard called out, potential even for Marines to be called out. You were there back in the day during the Rodney King riots. Share your story, please.
So I was a captain in the 40th Infantry Division of the California National Guard, and the whole division was mobilized to go into LA the following day after the riot started. We had 10,000 guardsmen on the street. I served primarily in Compton and Watts, which was kind of the center area for the riots. And it was 17 days was the period of mobilization to settle down the community. And the governor asked for and got one Marine battalion. It was a LAV 25 battalion out of Camp Pendleton, and they came in. And my takeaway, and I served active duty half my career, reserve half my career. I can look at both sides, with the same, I think, objectiveness. The guardsmen coming from the community, we had some of our guardsmen on the street manning checkpoints who were coming out of the same neighborhood as the gangbangers. They probably knew them, but they served, they did their job. The guardsmen, I think, naturally have a lot more sensitivity and a lot more restraint than an active duty unit might. And the number that I remember from that was that 10,000 guardsmen fired a total of 72 rounds out of their weapons, out of their firearms. Killed 2 gangbangers at a checkpoint. You're trying to run through a nighttime checkpoint. The number I heard was that one Marine battalion fired 1,200 rounds. And nobody got hurt. No civilians were killed. But it shows, a total difference in restraint, I guess, in dealing with people. And when the guardsmen, a lot of the guards, were from LA or the LA basin. And so I think the Guard is a lot better suited to, settle down a community than bringing in an active duty unit. I think presidents and governors like to do it. it sends a message. I'm not sure it's a good message at this point in time. I mean, this is no LA riots. This is no Rodney King. The area is very small. I remember when I drove into LA, the whole city was on fire. I was 9 months out of Desert Storm, and it looked exactly like Kuwait City did to me. And so, you know, I don't think we're there yet for a major mobilization, but it's probably good the Guards there. I'm not so sure about the Marines.
It's interesting that the police chief made the comment over the weekend that the people who are demonstrating were separate from the people who are causing trouble. And that just brought to my mind anarchists, because they've always existed, and this is exactly the kind of situation they like to get involved in and blow it up.
Well, in Rodney King, it was all about looting. Looting was the people were driving around in the middle of the night, breaking into Walmart, Kmart's, breaking into stores, breaking into little restaurants, stealing food, stealing TVs. It was all about looting during those riots, and I suspect probably this one's pretty much the same.
I have to share, you know, in bad times, there's always some smiles. And so I want to share this one story. I was watching the news, and there was a shot of Koreatown after the Rodney King riots, where there was a bunch of Jewish ladies who had come down to sweep up the streets. And I thought, my goodness, and I'm Jewish, so I can say this. And they're sweeping up the streets, and I'm thinking, how brave of those women to be in this riot area sweeping up the streets. What a wonderful thing. Then the camera pulls back, and you see this giant tank sitting right next to them. And that kind of explained to me why they felt so safe.
It was a dire situation. The first thing the police in the Compton and Watts precinct wanted us to do was to secure their precinct headquarters. So they wanted the bayonets out. They thought the bayonets being shown to be very effective, but we sent a truckload of guardsmen basically to every police precinct to camp out there and show the weaponry and show the presence. And so that shows how dire a situation it was at the time.
But it also shows that no matter who you are, whether you're rioters, the mafia, or whatever version of mob you want to think of, you don't got to outgun the United States military.
You are not. That's for sure. And that was the great part, is that when you have a truckload, just one deuce and a half, 18 guys in the back, and they're all carrying, you know, M16s at the time, M16A2s now, or M16s, and bayonets out, and they're disciplined, they're uniformed, they're coming right out of that community in all likelihood. You know, the gangbangers tend to slink away. They're not going to outgun that. And we only had a couple of instances of firefights, the one I mentioned, where at least our brigade, we killed 2 gangbangers at a checkpoint. We tried to run it in the middle of the night, but it was very, very restrained, I felt. For 10,000 people on the street with weapons, to only fire 72 rounds in 72 days of mass rioting is a pretty good record for the National Guard.
I want to be on all sides of this next comment here, which is that, you know, coming from England, where I did not grow up in a gun culture, I came to the United States and saw that there were 300 million people and 300 million guns, and my opinion was, okay, fine, you know, you're not going to change that. But when people talk about, you know, we need to have guns to defend ourselves against the government, and then you look at what the government brings to the table, there is no fight there.
There isn't, and it's a different day and age from when our Constitution was enacted. I mean, there's some guys out there saying, well, the Constitution...
Hang on, let me get my stovepipe hat here.
That's right. They say, hey, the Constitution gives us the right to have weapons of war. What, does that mean an anti-tank weapon? Does that mean a guided missile? I mean, come on, there's got to be some modern slant to that. And I believe in the right to bear arms, but I also don't believe that it includes machine guns, anti-tank weapons, and the like.
Okay, I'm going to have to cancel my order for the guided missile.
Yeah.
I just put that
right,
in.
yeah.
Let's take a break. We got a lot more to talk about with Kris Thompson after this timeout.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're here to continue our conversation with Colonel Kris Thompson, U.S. Army, retired. So, boy, have we seen the change of warfare, not just recently, but over the last couple of years here with the Ukraine war, with these drones. And I mean, do we have to completely rethink our war budget? Because we're looking this year at $1 trillion military budget, and the Ukrainians are fighting back with $300 drones.
Well, you always see this. You know, you look at one battle and, you know, does it change your perspective overall, or is it just a feature? But the Ukrainian army posted a video of one of their drone attacks, a partial video. And it shows the drone coming out of its container maybe a mile away from the airfield, goes low level to the airfield boundary. It pops up, it looks around, and then it identifies a bomber and it goes in. And you can buy those commercially. These are probably smaller than what you can buy here in the US. And so the problem is they're so cheap and they're low tech relatively. You can't have $1 million system for every drone that's going to be launched at you. I think what our military is doing, and I called around to all my buddies that are still in touch, we'll just say, with what's going on. The Army is going to electronic warfare, not kinetic energy anti-drone weapons. And they're thinking they can jam the drones, they can kill the signal, they can make the drones go haywire, make them miss the target. There's a lot of things you can do electronically. And I believe that our Army, our Defense Department is quick on the uptake right now with this.
Well, I certainly hope so, because when you see just some of the videos of not even military use for drones, but these drone swarms that are putting on shows around the country on 4th of July and things like that, it's not only astonishing that they're like a flock of birds, but at the same time, the potential for attacks is huge.
Well, the great thing about drones, the cheap weapons, you can flood the zone. So yeah, if you've got a machine gunner standing guard outside some key base, you can knock down 1 or 2 with your machine gun, but the other 200 are getting through. That's what makes the jammers, the electronic warfare guys, very effective, is you can take down the whole flock, if you will, if you have the proper jamming. And we've got, high-tech stuff. The interesting thing is that this brings to the forefront all the Chinese buyers, individuals and companies from mainland China that are buying properties right next to our top strategic bases. If you look at a map, almost every single strategic base we have in the U.S., Fort Lewis, Camp Pendleton, Fort Irwin, Fort Cavazos, Fort Liberty, now back to Fort Bragg, Norfolk Naval Station, there is Chinese land ownership right nearby. And if the Ukrainians could do it without owning any land, imagine what the Chinese could do, with vacant land, a couple miles away. Who knows what's going in the ground? Who knows, what they're doing to prep? But that's what makes our preparation so vital and getting that electronic warfare correct.
The thing about the United States versus China is we think in terms of business for the next quarter. The Chinese think of the next 100 years. And so I'm not so worried about what they're doing if they're buying up land right now, because the whole system seems that we both need each other, the United States and China. But in 50 to 100 years, if that's not the case, when the Chinese economy has grown up, then the potential becomes very dangerous.
Well, it does. And when the drones, it's going to be an arms race here. The drone technology and anti-EW, anti-jamming versus the jammers and the EW, and maybe some kind of cheap anti-drone kinetic energy weapon. There's going to be arms race. It's already going on right now. And so, the military's, famous for that. Well, we need another $10 billion for this weapon system because it's so critical. So, we'll see how it turns out. But from what I've heard from my calls is that I think we're moving quickly on it, which was good to hear back.
One of my biggest concerns is, the satellites that control the GPS. If those were to go out, oh my goodness, I don't know how the world would continue for the United States because we are so reliant on that for so many different things.
Well, the interesting part is the Ukrainians claim, and on something like this, you never know for sure. They might be trying to mask something they actually did. But they claim that some of their drones lost the ability to be directed remotely, and they proceeded with artificial intelligence, AI. And so with AI, you might not need the satellite. You might just need, the land, the terrain, the map on board the drone in the chip. And so it's a whole different world, warfare-wise.
All right, so here's my thing on that. AI is the shiny new toy. Now, we've had AI in various versions for a long time, but now it's top of mind for everybody. But is it really that well done at this point in time? I know, and folks, if you want to try this out, it's kind of fun to do. I put my own name into ChatGPT and said, "Who is Sam Shad?" And it was fascinating to see what it spat out. Some of it was very accurate. Other stuff was completely inaccurate. And I did that with a few other people's names. And I was stunned at how little AI knew, or ChatGPT knew. And then I would feed it information that was accurate. It said thank you and put that into its database. But I could have just as easily been putting phony information in there. So I think we're probably quite a few years out from saying AI is the thing and we should all just jump on board with it. I think humans need to be looking at this very skeptically.
Well, the scary thing about AI is the escalation without human control, right, of a conflict. The other thing is that about the drones is I don't think we should exaggerate their impact. Yes, they destroyed some bombers that were basically unguarded on remote Russian air bases, but they haven't shown the potential to kill tanks, to kill armored vehicles, to knock out fortified positions, to kill ships. I mean, that still takes kinetic energy or missiles to do. And so drones are good for soft targets, fuel dumps, ammo dumps, headquarters, planes, but I'm not sure they're a war winner yet.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be back with Kris Thompson after this timeout. Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
All hail the $200,000 Cash is King giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Weekly prize drawings including thousands in cash and free play. And 2 big grand prize giveaway events, each with a $15,000 cash winner guaranteed. Only at the Carson Valley Inn.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Colonel Kris Thompson, U.S. Army, retired. The Middle East. We've got an aircraft carrier with 3 aircraft that have slipped off the side of the ship. What is going on?
Yeah, well, I come from an environment during my years where safety was paramount, and protecting your, especially your key weapons. But the op tempo of those aircraft carriers has been pretty high lately. I mean, they've been hitting the Houthis in Yemen. God knows what else they've been hitting, elsewhere. Are they ramping up they're probably probing Iran airspace somehow. So I'm cutting them a little bit of slack on that one. I mean, these are expensive planes, no doubt. But, aircraft carrier is a miniature city. It's much bigger. It's much bigger, busier than any airport. And so these guys are going 24/7 every day. And at least right now, if it was happening, off of Norfolk Naval Station, that's one thing. But it's over there in the combat zone. These pilots and the crew are probably going, 12-hour shifts or 4 on, 4 off. And it's rugged duty. So I'll cut them a little slack on that.
I spent a night on the Constellation when it was still in business, should we say, 50 miles off the coast of San Diego. It is a city. Yep. You don't want to get lost in there, and that would be very easy to do. As far as the Middle East goes, Senator Rosen just got back from the Middle East tour. It looks like they are pushing forward with the Abraham Accords, which was a remarkable deal. Certainly putting a foot forward towards hopefully Middle East peace. Do you think we're any closer to getting Saudi Arabia on board with Israel? Because Iran, we still don't trust where they sit?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Saudi, I served in Saudi Arabia during Desert Storm, and I in preparation, I did do a lot of study on the government and the culture there. They will play along as long as they can. I'm not sure they're going to do anything until Iran is taken care of, until the Gaza Hezbollah situation is totally sorted out, And once there's peace and the dust settles, then maybe. But Saudi is not really a risk-taking regime in terms of, unless they're forced into it. And I don't think they want to alienate the other Arab countries in the region that are anti-Israel.
Do you think that Iran is going to have to come to the negotiating table just because the age of the population, the majority of the population, is so young and they are so dissatisfied with the mullahs, but do they have the ability to do anything about it?
Well, they're essentially militarily on their knees right now. The Israelis took down essentially all of their air defenses, neutered their air force. I mean, so they're sitting there defenseless. And I think what Iran is hoping for is that there's a schism between America and the Europeans, and that the Europeans are somehow going to stop or deter any kind of direct American-Israeli action against Iran. Given the current governments in the U.S. and Israel, I'm not sure that's a good bet on their part.
Yes, it's fascinating to watch the Israeli government running around in circles. And, we could talk about Gaza, but we don't have the time, unfortunately. But that is a tragic place for the population that is not part of the military with Hamas. It's a terrible situation, but as I say, for another day. I thank you for doing this, as always, and especially after a long, busy weekend for you. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food.
It's a good time to eat.
Over 500 hot slots, plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good times are tamarack.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can always watch our shows anytime on the website at nevadanewsmakers.com or the podcast. We have audio and video podcasts from all your favorite podcast locations and YouTube. Find us everywhere. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching.